Welcome to Jackie's Craft Table. Hello everyone, welcome! I am super excited today because I get to be the guest designer for the Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month card kit for September. I'm going to start out by showing you what this kit includes. This is the contents page. This month's kit is called Orchards and Patches. And then they always give you some fun card sketches that you can use to create some fun designs. These two pages are available on the Scrapping for Less website. So let's get into this fun kit. This is all about fall time card crafting. This is collection number 1 and it's called Sweet Sunflower Patch. Collection number 2 is called Apple Orchard Pickin', and I just love this little gnome. It's so adorable. Collection number 3 is called Floral Patches, and you get a cute scarecrow and a little fence. I'm going to open all of these up before I create my designs and give you a closer look. And collection number 4 is called Pumpkin Patches and Harvest Wishes. If you subscribe to the banana split level, you get an extra little package of goodies, which includes this beautiful stencil. And then this little packet, let me open it up and show you what's inside. So you get some really cute dies. It cuts out a pear and a little leaf. And I believe these dies vary from card kit. You get a packet of sequins and a cute little ruler that says Blessed Beyond Measure. You're going to get some beautiful cardstock. Let me flip through these for you and show you. I really love this orange piece here. It's a little bit thinner, but it has like little dapples on it. I love it. You get a lot of paper, and then you get 2 white pieces. I usually end up making card bases out of that. Now let's get into the first collection. Again, this one's called Sweet Sunflower Patch. Let me pull everything out. I really love this darling stamp set. I love sunflowers. And then on the other side of it, it says, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. You get a little bit of beautiful ribbon. Here are some enamel dots. You get an envelope in each collection. And then I'm going to show you the double-sided pattern paper. It's a very heavyweight pattern paper. It has a very pretty sheen to it. And I really like the color scheme, the teals and the greens and the yellows. For card number 1, I'm using a piece of the yellow cardstock from the kit. And I'm going to do some partial die cutting. I stamped up this image a few times, but I only showed myself stamping it up once for the sake of time. And I used some black Copic Friendly ink. I pulled out my paper trimmer so I could get a nice straight line up to the sunflower. And I'll do that both from the bottom and the top. And then for the rest of it, I'm just going to fussy cut around the sunflower. And then this sunflower is going to hang off the edge of this cardstock. But I'm just trying to go carefully around each little petal. And it's pretty fun and easy to do. And then I'll, of course, do the other side as well off camera. I chose a piece of pattern paper that I wanted to use, and I always have so much left over. You get a lot of supplies in this kit. But I'm attaching it to a white card base. I just love this teal honeycomb pattern. And then my partial die cut piece is just going to go on the edge there. This paper is fabulous because if you need to peel it up like I did here, it pulls up really easily and doesn't rip. But I forgot that I wanted to add a little bit of this ribbon on the edge of this pattern paper. And then I already have tape on the back, dot liner tape. And then I can just trim it down and then tape it on the back. Now I can add this to my card base once more. And now for a little bit of very quick Copic coloring. When you start with a base color, your coloring goes really fast. So I just had to put a little bit of yellow and orange and brown on this flower. I'm letting a lot of the color of the cardstock show through. And now to color in the little bee, I used a white Jelly Roll pen on its wings. I'm adhering this down flat with some dot liner. I debated whether to pop this up with some foam tape, but I thought I'll just put it down flat next to the ribbon. I added a few enamel dots and some clear glitter pen over the flower, and this card is complete. I'm going to create another card using this first collection, and I'm going to follow along with one of the sketches, the left one at the top you see there. I've already cut out all of my papers. I'm going to use this pretty dappled orange piece. I'll attach this to my card base with some dot liner. And now for the second piece. I love the sunflowers and the honeycombs on this one. I almost adhered that one upside down. Now for a little bit of yellow. I'm going to do some fast coloring on these die-cut leaves with some distress inks. Just putting down a little bit of green and orange and yellow. I'm trying to match the colors that are on the pattern paper. And I do all of the leaves like this, but I'm just going to show one. You could also cut these out with the colored cardstock that comes in the kit, and that would even be faster. I also cut out a white circle, and I'm going to add a little bit more ink to the center of this. It was just too white. I tried it plain, but it just needed a little bit of color to match the pattern paper. And now I can adhere my sentiment and my leaves down. And I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue to put these on the front of my card. I end up changing this sentiment. It just needed to be a different color, so you'll see at the end here in just a minute. I colored in the cute little honey dipper and the pot of honey off camera, just using the same colors that I did on my first card. And here is a close-up look. I used the last little bit of the ribbon to put a bow on the front of my card. I also like to decorate the insides of the cards with leftover scraps and bits. Okay, now on to collection 2. This one is called Apple Orchard Pickin'. And I had so much fun coloring in this little gnome, but it includes some pretty twine, this cute stamp set with some fun fall time sentiments, happy fall, and autumn skies apple pies. You get some more enamel dots. Here is the envelope. And then I'll show you the patterned paper next. You get a lot of apple images on these patterns and some fun stripes. You also get some cute little apple cores and patterns with pretty leaves on them. These are some cut-aparts, which are nice to have to make up some quick cards. Get some cute sentiments on these. I love that bright yellow one. Let's get into card number 3. I'm using some VersaFine Clair ink. This one's called Fallen Leaves. It's a nice deep brown ink. I thought it would go perfectly for this little image. I stamped it onto a piece of white cardstock from the kit. I have a smaller piece of Bristol smooth cardstock from my stash. I like to use this when I'm going to be doing some ink blending. So my first color is Candied Apple and then Ripe Persimmon. These two blend beautifully together because it's the ripe persimmon's kind of a reddish orange. And then my last color, my yellow color, is called Mustard Seed. I'm just going back and forth between these colors, trying to get a nice smooth blend. I set this panel aside to dry for a while because I want to do a little bit of heat embossing on this, and it has to be completely dry or the ink will just hold all of the white embossing powder onto it. I treated the paper with some anti-static powder. I'm going to stamp out the larger sentiment that says Autumn Skies Apple Pies. I'm using some Versamark ink on this, and I do ink it up a couple of times, and then I can pour over my white embossing powder. And it looks so pretty against the dark red and orange of the paper. Now I can heat set this, and I go really slow because I hate it when my paper warps even just the tiniest bit. I just do it a little section at a time. And then once that is melted, I can take a tissue and just wipe off the leftover anti-static powder. I'm using a piece of craft cardstock from my stash. I just had to pull this in because I love using this kind of paper on fall time cards. I cut that out with a faux stitched die, and now I can add my ink blended panel onto it. I went ahead and colored in my images with some colored pencils off camera. And I'm going to pop them both up with some foam pieces. This little sunflower is the same sunflower from collection 1. I stamped half of it and then I flipped the stamp and stamped again so that it makes a complete sunflower. And I'm using a little bit of glue on one side of the gnome just so it sticks to the sunflower. And then I peel it up again because I forgot I wanted to add this little piece of twine around the gnome's hat. I also put a few enamel dots around my panel, as you see there. So I'm just going to tie a little bow and trim off the ends. I think that looks so cute around his hat. I'm going to pull out my penknife as well as my micro dots and just stick one behind the bow. This will ensure that it stays in place and won't shift about when I send it out into the mail. And here is a close-up look. I really love how this one turned out. The little gnome is so much fun to color. Now on to collection 3. This one's called Floral Patches. You get more ribbon and some really cute buttons this time. Here's the stamp set with the scarecrow and the fence, and it says, "Hey there." You get some pretty blue enamel dots. And now let's check out the pattern paper. Again, you get some pretty greens and teals. I just love it. And that piece right there, I instantly fell in love with, so I'm going to use this on this next card. I end up using a couple, this last one as well, for my card. I'm going to stamp out my scarecrow with some more VersaFine Clair Fallen Leaves brown ink, as well as the fence. And I'm just stamping them both onto a piece of white cardstock because I am going to end up fussy cutting these out. I color in these images with more colored pencils off camera. And now to put this card together, I'm using this beautiful piece of pattern paper with all of the patches, but I am going to cut out an oval in the middle. I use a little bit of washi tape to hold my oval die in place. Here it is all cut out. This paper is great too because the washi tape just comes right off. It doesn't rip it ever. It's fabulous. I decide to pop up this frame with some foam strips. The brown stripe pattern paper is from one of the other collections, but I'm actually going to attach it to this piece of pattern paper with the flowers. I just thought that looked cute on the side of the oval there. And then I'm going to attach this to the brown striped pattern paper with some liquid glue. It does take the glue a little bit longer to dry on this pattern paper. I actually set this panel aside with a few acrylic blocks on top so it dries flat. And now I'm going to attach my fence flat down onto the pattern paper. And the scarecrow I'm going to pop up with more foam pieces. And just put him right in the center. I'll stamp out the sentiment onto a piece of yellow cardstock. I'm just using some VersaFine Onyx black ink for this. I went ahead and die cut it with a banner tail die. And now I'm going to adhere this at the top of my semicircle. I really like all of the sentiments that came in this kit. But here is a close-up look. I put a lot of the blue enamel dots around the front of my card. Let's take a peek at collection number 4. This one is called Pumpkin Patches and Harvest Wishes. The stamp set is really cute. It says, "Hey there, pumpkin," and you get a cute little pumpkin image. And then you get a lot of die cut shapes, and these were really fun because look at these cute frames. There's so much you can do with them. I'll just pull all of these out and put them on my desk so you can see. I used some of these on the insides of my cards for an additional sentiment. These are really fun to use, and you can make up some really fast and beautiful cards with them. You get some more enamel dots. These are such a pretty light blue color. Here is your envelope. And then let me flip through the pattern paper. I end up using 2 different pieces of pattern paper from this collection for my last card. But I love all of the pumpkins on these and the stripes. I always love a pretty stripe. Card number 5 is going to be a shaker card using one of the little frames from this collection. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto a piece of white cardstock using some more VersaFine Onyx black ink. It just says Happy Fall. This is going to go behind my frame. I am going to add some clear embossing powder over it just to give it a little bit of shine. I didn't want my sentiment to get lost behind all of the sequins that I'm going to be using in this shaker card. I have a small piece of acetate that I'm going to glue on the back of this frame. You could use liquid glue as well, but the liquid glue does take a little bit longer to dry, so I just used some dot liner. And then I'll cut the excess off. My next step is to put some foam pieces behind this little frame. I'm just putting 1 layer. You can do 2, but these little sequins were so small, they don't need a lot of room to shake. So I'll just adhere that down onto my sentiment and then trim off the white cardstock around it. I didn't put a lot of sequins in there, but I think it was just the right amount. You can still see the sentiment. And now to put my card together, I cut down a couple of pieces of pattern paper. I loved this orange and the brown together. Now I can adhere it to my white card base. I go back and forth between liquid adhesive and my dot liner. I like them both. I cut my pattern paper down a little bit smaller than my card base so that you could see a white border around the edges. Now I can add my little shaker bit. And then I was going to stop here, but just needed something more. So I'm going to use some of these cute buttons and this little red ribbon. So I'll tie it into just a small little bow. And then I can trim off the ends. I'm going to use another micro dot behind this to attach it to the card. And these little touches, the buttons and the ribbons, they sure add a lot to your cards. I'll also use some micro dots behind my 2 buttons, and I put on more than 1. I put on about 2 or 3. I think 2 on the smaller one, and then 3 on the larger button. You could glue them down with liquid glue, but I like the micro dots. It just feels like they attach to the card more securely that way. And these micro dots last for ages. I've had this little pack for over a year now. And here is the finished card. I really like the simplicity of this card, yet it's still fun and cute. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll have the links to this fabulous card kit listed in the description box below, as well as over at my blog. Happy fall time crafting, everyone. Take care. Bye.